One of the main reasons why we avoid conflict is down to fear. So fear that it may cause anger or upset. That could be our own anger or upset or our opponent's. Fear that it might make things worse, it might actually damage the relationship. And also fear that we don't have the skills to deal with conflict, because resolving conflict, it can be unpleasant and it can be uncomfortable. And at a basic level, as human beings, we want to almost stay away from anything that's unpleasant and uncomfortable and move towards anything that helps us to feel more content or more happy. So they're the main reasons why we tend to avoid conflict. Well, avoiding conflict, first of all, means that it doesn't actually go away. We often want to avoid dealing with discomfort externally, but we end up actually carrying the conflict, and this can build up over time, and it can cause us to feel angry and resentful, and those feelings then of course are going to influence how we behave with the person, and the other person may not even be aware that you have a problem with them and may continue to do the thing that annoys you. So anger and resentment may build up over time, and it's either going to weigh the relationship down or cause a big explosion. So avoiding conflict is not the best way to deal with it. So a great way to show how conflict can manifest in a relationship is, I have a bottle of soda here, and this represents that each conflict that starts to happen in a relationship will gradually shake it. Now, if you can imagine, if I were to open this cap now, just like the final argument that happens, there's going to be an explosion. So it's actually important to learn to deal with conflicts as they happen to avoid explosions. So there's lots of skills that you can learn to manage conflict. What's important to do is to deal with them as they occur, because we want to avoid big builds up and explosions and bust ups. And what's really important is to learn to be respectful when we're resolving conflict. And here's 3 easy steps that can be used to move towards being more respectful. This is really important in resolving conflict, and I know it can be difficult to listen without interrupting, especially when we actually don't agree with the other person's point of view and things didn't happen that way for us. But what happens when we interrupt is the person is not going to feel listened to or respected, and it's actually going to move you away from resolving conflict. So what can be really useful to do is both parties agree, let's take 5 minutes. I'll tell my side of the story, and if you agree not to listen and not interrupt, and then you can tell yours, and we'll see where we are then. So that can be really effective. So the second step in moving towards being respectful is to agree to no shouting, swearing or name calling. And again, I know this can be difficult when we're feeling angry and upset. And often the reason that we shout is because we're not feeling listened to and we're not feeling understood. You have less chance of being listened to when you're shouting. And all you need to do is think of a time when somebody shouted at you, and what you want to do is shout back or get away from them. So it's not very effective for being heard. Much better to say something like, it's really important that you listen to my point of view here, and you have much more chance of being heard, which will lead you more towards resolving the conflict. The final step is timeouts, which is really important, because if conversations are getting heated and people are starting to shout, we're moving away from respect. So it's almost like both parties will agree, let's take a break, and we'll take some time to reflect and cool down. So these are just some of the skills that can be learned, and anybody can learn these. And at Aspire, we teach lots of different skills for managing and dealing with conflict in effective ways. So we can offer one-to-one coaching and training courses, and all of the information is available about those on our website.